of course we can edit it. Got it. So now I assume we're started.
We're live.
Beautiful. All right. So what did you ask me, Will?
Well, I realized the power in I don't know. And I asked you, so what's the origin? What's the root story of that? Like, where does that come from? How did you discover that?
Good, thanks. So going through a session, one of my our intuition session that we have on Fridays, I've now changed that to mastery. And what we were going through an intuition read on me was pulling it out. And I went to a point where I was right on the edge of transitioning from this physical body into another something, but I wasn't dead. I was alive. I was in this body still, and I was right on the edge of like something like it felt like I was ready to just go into everything. Like but I was alone. I was like, that can't work. Everything that I'm saying, we have to come together, but I'm here ready to step into it, and I'm here alone. And I pushed all the way to that point. And I arrived and I was there by myself. And I was like, what a fucking disappointment. I worked all this time for that.
Like 3.5 years?
This is in the future. This is just a future vision of mine. And as I sat in the vision, I can now see what it means and I can talk about it. And so what it was is like, I got to the communication point, if you will, like the infinite point, which is allness of all one source, if you will. And I was there alone. What? And I was like, this sucks. Day 31, would you say day 0? Like, this sucks again? I had to take the obvious action. And so now it's like, I took all my I did it. And what it was is like, well, what would you say when you're here? And I sat there as like, this is really cool where I'm at. It's like happy for me. It was like happy, but I'm alone. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's been my whole pattern. It's like I see so much greatness, but it's empty.
Mm.
And the message it was like, to enter forward, it was like, you have to say, I don't know. Oh. And as soon as I said, I don't know, all the paths to get there, I melted into and arrived back at today. And today I choose, hell no, I do not want to be alone. So come on, guys. I know where we're going. Let's go.
So if I'm to understand correctly, is it like you saw your end result, your desired?
I'd created it from 3.5 years ago. Yes, I arrived when I took the obvious action 32 days ago.
So you saw that end result, and
Yep.
you were there, and then you realized that you didn't want to be alone. Yep. In that creation. You wanted to share it.
Yep.
And instead of diving into the how, you looked at it from a space of I don't know, and then the path, the natural intuitive path to that result revealed itself.
Well, here's the beautiful side of it is I rolled downhill backwards to the point that I'm at now. So that means to me that it was in the future. Yes, I went to the future, arrived there I arrived in a future pattern if I wouldn't have made the choice, so that I could see the path backwards to say, oh, that's where I'm at now. And that's why I continue to go the way I do. Because we are not there yet.
Yeah, it's becoming.
But I caught the we, I come back to the we and say, I know where we are going now.
So is it that end result, is it like a clear vision in your mind, or is it more like a feeling of what it feels like, or is it a combination? Like, what is that? What is that like?
It started as a training of the feelings and a way earlier vision that continues as I take action, continues to sharpen and refine and become clearer the closer we get to it, of course, as long as you step into the action and say yes and. I don't know, yes and is the shortcut. That's the only two steps you need to know. The two things we resist the most.
Because then we're not in our mind trying to figure it out.
That's right. We're right back to the heart of a child. But
In no sense. In no sense.
In no sense, brother. That's why it works when you get there, no matter how long it takes you to get there. Structure that doesn't fail, which is why I can't lose. I don't care about winning anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, there doesn't have to be winners and losers. Then you can just
not where we're going. Not where we're going. I mean, that's what we have to let go of. It's not a fight. It's love. And love has to appreciate the fight.
It's like
love, and evil has to accept that it's love. And when we can say, I don't know how to do that, we can finally peel off all the shit.
Yeah. All the stories and expectations and traumas and the nonsense stories and beliefs and dramas that are not who we are. It's just a story. A looping story in the brain that clears itself up when we're in our heart. It just clears itself. And you don't have to know. How do I get in my heart? I don't know. I'm like, I want to get in my heart. Like, that's kind of what I was experiencing this morning. I'm like, how do I just get into my heart as fast as possible? And like, I don't know. But the head wanted to know.
Always does. Always does. The ego always needs to know. So when you can train it that it doesn't need to know, oh, that was fun. I was happy when I didn't need to know.
It's like this engineering brain has to reverse engineer that end result, or I could just be it now.
Pre-sent, remember? Pre-sent patterns. And when I could separate, wait, that's not my resistance, that is yours. Holy moly, is that next level.
That other day when I was like projecting resistance on you, I'm like, dude, you're in resistance. I was like judging you. And you helped me to like realize that. I'm like, wait a sec, is this my resistance? I muscle check it. Yep.
Well, and you validated for me, it was like, what the fuck is this? And did you see, like, my response to it all the time was always to fight it, was to be angry with you. And so it was my pattern too.
Me too, dude.
Yeah, like, I know. So it's like positives and positives do not come together, brother.
Say what?
Positive and positive does not like to come together.
Oh.
But we want to, we're attracted, but when we get really close, what do? We push each other apart. Boom. And it's like, oh, no, when we allow that energy in, we absorb it together, we amplify. That's how you amplify this stuff on the ups and lessen on the lows. Frequency.
Amplitude. When that resistance gets triggered in the active experience, it just like shows up as like anger and like, how dare you? I'm frustrated. Like, how dare you say what you said, or how dare you judge me? And it's like there's the finger pointing out, but it's really right here. It's right here. I'm the one that's creating that
and
resistance.
what's beautiful is that now that you have that closed loop learning, it's like, oh, we can go back and show people this is what I meant, this is how it showed up, and that what a teaching lesson that is the shortcut rather than talking all the time.
And how many times
How
is
many hours are wasted doing the other?
how many years are wasted in resistance to an imagined event or misunderstanding of someone's words or an event or an experience, whatever it might be?
Yeah, well, like I say, from probably eight, actually from 1 year to now, I would say I've been in a dysfunctional pattern. And I say it's like tomorrow will just be less of a dysfunctional pattern. And it's like I know where I'm headed, and it's like I can't get there. We all have to be ready for it. Like we all have to be there, and not until that point. And it's like I can be at peace now. See, I'm not alone. And so now in this moment, I can, what my resistance is like, am I alone? Hell no. And I am the happiest in and it's like, I know where we're going. And it's like, yeah.
And it's like when you experience your true nature, which is just pure bliss and joy and happy, and that's who we really are. When you're in that space, it's like, I want to share this. I want to like others to experience this too. And how does that look? Like here we are. We're chatting about it right now.
It's on the shoulders of giants, that I am so grateful for them to see, for me to see where I'm at. It's like I want to send that back.
Gratitude.
And it's like, Mo, his book, That Little Voice in Your Head, right? It's like, oh my, he allowed me to see happy could exist in business. Then I learned how I could have happy in my life first. And then I learned how I could teach others how to find happy in their life. And then they are now teaching others how to find happy in their life. And I'm loving the show.
We're just witnessing a creation.
That's on tape.
So
That
right
began
now,
3.5 years ago, that I've been documenting my whole journey since I couldn't fucking sleep after COVID. Because I had nowhere to turn for the first time in my life. And I had to learn 3.5 years ago. Almost 4 now.
Wow.
And it cost me a lot of money. Yeah, it cost me a lot of time. And I do not wish it on anyone else any longer.
Yeah. It's like, how do we collapse the time frame on people finding and discovering themselves?
Yes.
Who they really are, and enjoying this experience of who we are.
There's nothing to be afraid of. I say we are equal. Like we practice to be equal. We serve through love. And are we perfect? Hell no. My coaching hat comes on all the time. My business hat comes on the time. My value hat comes on the time. But it's like we are learning together, and that's what makes it fast. So that, and yes, and we are looking for what's next. Not afraid of it, but anticipating it, inviting it in, creating it, having intentions, and wanting everyone to look into their heart and say, yes, and what's next for me too. And it's like when everyone does that, I can be ducking done.
Yeah. Hey, good for you, man. You're becoming the witness.
Yeah, for everyone that wants me to prove it to them. Look at that resistance. And it's like, I know really what it meant is I had to prove it to myself.
Prove what?
that we are all geniuses, that we all are powerful, that we all have greater purposes than what we think right now. And when we stop looking at going for shit out there and start looking inside and saying, well, fuck, happy? I don't know. Why not? Right? It's like, why not? If I'm choosing to live a shit life right now, or my life, everything's happening around me, I'm giving it power out there. Drop all that shit. Say, I don't know. What do I want? It's like you have choice in this moment. That is always, and it's not the poor's burden to bear any longer. That's my message. Ooh, that was about as peaceful as I've ever said it. What would you rate that, Will?
The resistance is kind of dissolving, eh?
It feels like it, yeah. And it's like, because you've seen me from the beginning.
Yeah. Like you've got a passion with sharing this, what your experience has been, and like just the fact that you've welcomed others into this shared experience has just been incredible. Like for me, and I know many others as well. And like, what's this going to become? What does it look like? I don't know. But it's amazing to witness this creation as it grows, you know. Fibonacci starts out small, but over time it starts to gain momentum and it becomes a creation of its own organically.
I like, as a marketer, Will, if you had my journey on tape, like as you see this developing, like what would you do with that? I wonder.
I'll just keep producing content. Just keep sharing this experience, however that might look for you, whatever feels intuitively natural for you, because that's your process.
Good. Now, is there any message that you might want to share with people that keep saying no?
Saying no
to me, to my purpose and my passion.
Oh,
or that have said no to my purpose and passion, to our creation.
Well, what I would say, like, is it's their loss, and I don't say this from arrogance, or to invalidate their experience, but they're the ones who are missing out on experiencing who they truly are, you know. And that can only be experienced. You can only uncover, discover, rediscover who you are by being in a safe enough space that facilitates that. And we all, if we're all up here, or though when we're up here, it's hard to trust because there's a lot of belief systems, there's a lot of traumas, there's a lot of negative things we've been through in life. And those stories hold us back from who we really are, which is here. No story, just pure creative energy, awareness, observer. So that it's an experience. And you've been a guide in that journey for me. And isn't that really our intention here? Kind of, if you were to put it into words, to be a facilitator, guide, witness, to share that opportunity with others. And whatever form that might take.
I couldn't have said it any better.
That just kind of flowed out. Interesting.
Weird. I wonder why. And thank God it wasn't out of my mouth. Because then you helped color in my end result.
Because we all have different perspectives as individuals based on this experience.
Yes, and I want to
Being,
know yours.
yeah. And I want to know other people's, like, I want to know, like, the viewers that are watching this.
Yes.
I want to meet you guys and like hear
Ah.
your experience of this and like, what's that like for you?
Oh, did you feel it in my heart? It just went
Yeah, I just felt
like
like
wide open.
goosebumps through my body, right?
Why hide from that? Why
It's
run
just
away from that
pure,
feeling?
it's pure joy, the joy of creation, the magnetic moment. I don't, I don't desire, I don't want, I don't need, but I'm open and I'm available. And I don't know how it looks.
Yeah.
And I'm
Don't need to know.
willing to
I
take
don't
that
need to know.
intuitive, inspirational action as it arises when I'm in this space.
Oh,
Not,
time out.
oh, I got to do it like this.
Hmm.
Oh, it's got to be step 1, step 2, step 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Like it really is like step 1, I don't know, and step 2, yes, and.
Mm. And let's see what shows up in this
That's
space.
right. That's right. And so I just was reading a message that came across on our in that Slack that you and I know about, and it's like, oh, he's like, I am excited to listen to Will and the great inspiring self that he is, and it's like, and I couldn't read the rest of it. I was like, yay, go Will, go,
Are you
my
for real?
business partner, go! And it's like, yes, it's like, look at it just unfold.
Wow.
Why are you
In,
surprised?
in,
Why are you surprised?
I'm not going to go into that story. I'm just going to
Well,
drop
good.
it.
Good choice.
But what's coming for me is insight
Mm.
from the heart, not the head.
Mm.
Okay, step 1, step 2, no, just drop it. I don't know.
Mm.
Insight in my heart sees things very differently.
Mm.
It's not limited by these 5 senses.
Mm.
Insight is in here. It's a feeling,
Yes.
it's an experience. And you can only know that. It's a knowingness.
Mm.
Why are you so inspiring? Why are you so insightful? I'm not. Or this isn't, but this aspect of me is. And that aspect of you is too.
Mm.
And I invite you, I welcome you to discover that for yourself. Yeah.
You reminded me, Will, again. It was like
What was that?
it was like I was thinking of like our first 9 months, our eyes were closed and we didn't breathe, and all we had was our hearts and our mother's hearts. And then that we had our sleeping time, which was most of the time, together. And then we were apart. And that is what we were yearning to get back to. And that is why we feel alone. But we have just cracked the code of what it takes to not be alone anymore. And we are developing our geniuses every day. We're doing it now. And anyone that watches it is developing theirs.
Just by being here, by witnessing.
Engaging, allowing, accepting, and saying, trying it on. I don't know. Let's see what happens. It's going to
language
be
of the
better.
heart.
It's going to be better than what it was. I guarantee it.
You know what I just realized is, why don't I understand you half the time? Because you're speaking in the language of your heart. You're speaking into words to try to interpret.
Yes, that is exactly.
Interpret what is in this space. And my analytical brain goes, what did he just say? I don't get it. I don't understand what he's trying to say. Because it can only be understood in the heart. Like, what? It always reminds me of that song, Get out of my head.
And
Into
into
my
my
heart.
heart.
Right?
Wait, we're on a business meeting. We better stop this.
Oh yeah. Hey.
Yeah, no happy here. No
Gotta be
happy here,
serious.
Will. Come on. Pull the energy out of that bouncing ball, Will. We don't need that right now.
We couldn't possibly have joyful creation in business, could we?
Oh, and profits at the same time? No
What?
way. Then I would have to like. Did you hear this? Is like they don't pay us to like our employees. Well, what the fuck do they pay you for?
Wow. What's the point?
Amen. And then every employee that understands and sees that, you have the power now. Every employer, when you see this, adopt this and love your employees, oh, your profits will soar.
You know what just popped in was take the power back. Take your power back.
That is what it is. Boom. In your heart. Through love equally. Yes, and do it, baby.
Yeah.
This is how we do it.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
I call that happy. How about you?
Yeah. Like how does that day look like if you just like start in your heart and do your best to just to stay in that space throughout the day? What does that look like? Happy, joy, what? Like what's that? Like that's a new experience. I haven't experienced that in decades, right? Maybe since birth, or maybe since before birth. Who knows?
I haven't been out of it yet today.
Dude.
You have?
Have I? No, not today. Yesterday. Yeah.
Yesterday. Yeah, moments. See, it's like, oh, well, okay, not that. Don't focus on it. Don't give a shit about it. It's like, not that. Okay, when do I don't need to know.
It's like, oh, I'm triggered. Okay, whatever. I could get into the story in my head and just like completely get out of my heart and just become an a-hole, an angry, cranky, bitter person. Or I could just like, oh, well, that's just a story. Okay, back into my heart.
You know, like the worst case scenario that you could do if you really wanted to, would be like, oh my God, that, and be like, oh no, that's my mom's. Oh, that's my mom's. That's not mine. I'll deal with that one later. It's like, oh, that was definitely my mom's because that was well before I was here. So it's like, oh, see, it's the same thing as I don't know. It's like, geez, figure out your way to do it and then share it with the world. I'm just sharing with you mine.
Did I share with you that I don't belong story that was running my life?
No, I don't think you have. Let me sit down for it.
I've been doing that. I'm in the process. I'm in the process of registering for my Indian status here in Canada.
Oh, yes. Oh, and I think that's a great video that there's probably a lot of people that would want to know how to do that. And I'm sure you could help them if that was part of your purpose.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of Canadians that'll probably watch this and that are curious about that, because that has been unavailable for a lot, but now it's been opened up, which is pretty cool. So
it sounds like it's in your purpose. It sounds like it's in your purpose.
I think it is a little, yeah, because it's in my heart. It's a part of my ancestry. It's part of who where I've come from in my genetics, you know? And it's that what I just said, genetics. It's that lineage of stories of all these previous ancestors that lived before me that I inherited. I inherited stories. I inherited experiences. I may not be aware of them, but they're in the memory. They're in the memory of the genetic code. And that's become a part of me. And I may not even be aware of it, but it can run my life.
It does.
47 years. I don't belong. Was a feeling, a story. Like, what? Like, I just discovered that. Like, maybe this week. Well, I've known about it for a few months now because of this work. but uncovering where the source was, it's my great grandmother. And I just found it by muscle checking on it. Because I just asked myself the question, where does that come from? Does it come from my mom's side? Yes. Does it come, how many generations back? 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. So my mother, my grandmother, her mother, my great grandmother.
And then ask, is that the beginning? Then ask, is that the beginning?
Is that the source of this belief? I don't belong. Yes.
Good.
So
It's
I
like,
don't
do you
know
want to
what
hold
her
it?
story is. I don't know what she experienced, but I do know that this I don't belong, she went through something that caused her to form that belief. And I
Do you
inherited
want to?
that from her. And it's just resistance that I can drop now when I'm in my superconscious field, my heart, and love it. And just accept it, love her.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
honor her journey, honor who she was. Because without her, I would not exist. And the gratitude that comes. All I can say is thank you. And now I feel like I belong. It's a different experience now that I'm living through. It's like, I do belong. I have family. I have this ancestry that I wasn't aware of until recently. And that's just part of the journey. I'm discovering, I'm uncovering my roots. And it's beautiful.
So you may see that one release, that one acknowledgement, that one belonging now ripples through every energy that it has ever touched around that situation. So what happens when you get into the tree of life and you change one aspect of that branch, of that leaf, any part of that tree, and it changes the whole tree?
You know what's funny? In this journey of discovering my roots, where I come from, and who my ancestors were, I got a family tree document from my sister that my uncle researched and discovered and found in archives in Canada here. And I have a whole list of names of my ancestors now. And I did a search and started discovering where they lived. Some lived in Saskatchewan, some lived in Manitoba, some lived in northern Alberta. And they were First Nations. They were Métis, which is like French Canadian / Indian blood. And they used to call them half-breeds back in the day. Now that would be considered like an offensive term. But back then that was normal. So you can see how that I don't belong was foreign, right? Because that identity of who they were and how they identified was unfortunately stripped from them by the powers that be of the time, you know? And that's returning to us now. And I get to benefit from all that, from all the hard work other people have done to restore the privilege of identity, of identifying who we are. And I know it's all just a story, but it's beautiful. So getting back to what was funny, what I found was really interesting and kind of funny was I'm searching on Google Maps. I'm like, oh, this is Cumberland House was a town, or it's a town now, but it's actually So there's First Nations land and territory there where I believe my great grandmother and her parents lived there. And one of the street names is Sati, which is her maiden name, her birth name. Then she married a gentleman, I believe Pierre Cadot. He was French Métis. And so he was, I believe it was Pierre. Anyways, he's my great grandfather. So there's this blending of names and of families. And in that town, Sati is one street. Actually, no, there's two streets, I believe, named Sati. And then there's another street by the name of Cadot. And it just blows my mind. I'm like, here's my ancestry. Here's like, it's not very far off. It's not very long ago. And there's these street names. I had no idea. I thought I was nothing. I thought I was no one, and I didn't belong. And here there's streets named after my ancestors. So that was pretty profound. Pretty profound experience to find that this morning.
And I invite all humanity back to belonging. So that the leaders can come forth.
It's funny how the tears may be flowing, and it's not a sadness. It's actually happy.
I
Happy
honor,
tears.
yeah, and I honor the earth, the heart that you bring, Will. The land, thank you. The people, the voice. It's beautiful.
It's where we all come from, eh? We're all a part of this earth experience.
Many have forgotten.
I feel like so connected now. Just having a little glimpse into my ancestry. It's so weird because I just, to a certain extent, felt maybe like, okay, story. Felt kind of judged and shamed for my First Nations ancestry. But it's a part of me. Yeah, I have European ancestry as well, you know.
Right.
French, Scottish, German.
Yes, we do.
English. And there's this part of it. It's part of the branch that came over from France and came to Canada, and with all the different connections and marrying, ended up in my fifth great grandparents, fourth, 3, 2, 1 great grandmother, grandmother, mother, and then me. And that was all created through love. I feel like I belong now. Just knowing that portion of my tree, my roots.
So do all the connections that connected along their journeys now been awakened. Oh, that's cool.
We all belong, eh? We all belong to the human family.
right.
And when we fight against ourselves or others, we're fighting against our family. There's no need for that.
And you don't need to be the first one there. You don't win anything.
You don't need to take.
So that is what I would connect, is like being alone, not a belonging. And it's like, oh, that was some really deep ones that we'd cleaned up today.
Wow.
Just in a conversation.
Power of story, eh? Like, had no idea.
The truth does exist in this story, and that's the only one I care about. I want the true story. I don't want your bullshit story. And I don't mean you. It's like we've learned how to get out of that. It's those that aren't here. I don't want their bullshit story. So you may not like how I handle your resistance. It is always your choice. And I hope and do it from love. And I can't say I always do, looking back. But the point is I'm getting better, and you hold me to a standard to be better. And that's refreshing.
Yeah. Honoring one another, one another's who we are.
Yeah, I think we're done giving away for now. What do you say? You and me, let's keep working. But
I feel like there's a lot of value there.
I think so. Thanks.
People will